Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. Right now we're looking at Bitcoin on the hourly, and ever since yesterday we saw quite a decline yesterday morning, but then Bitcoin was maintaining its price, anywhere between 11,200 approximately and 11,300. We're still seeing it vacillate into that range, and I know it was a bit of a surprise for everybody just seeing this dump first thing yesterday morning, and look at that volume, just a lot of volume dumping Bitcoin, but it did cap out at 11,002 approximately. We did see a little bit more of a decline here, all the way back down to 11,000, but then it did quickly rebound, and we are still seeing Bitcoin vacillate between that 11,002, 11,003 range. Okay, in the crypto market, kind of meandering along, the market cap below 300 billion, Bitcoin dominance at 68.7. Everything's just kind of moving sideways at this moment. No sharp declines, no sharp upticks, but I think in the next couple of weeks we'll start to see more Bitcoin movement and then alts will follow yet again. This is Bitcoin on a daily, and guys, I just wanted to remind you of something. So before the last bull run of 2017, we were seeing Bitcoin, right, make highs. Okay, so this was during, let me zoom in on that a little better. Okay, make highs here in May 2017, then make a new high, 2,700 approximately, going back down to this May level high of about 1,900 or 1,800, 1,900 let's call it, make new highs, come back down, and then keep going down here, back to 1,800 in July of 2017, so 2 months. Okay, before we could see new highs broken, and even longer than that, because it wasn't until around here, August 5th, 2017, that it broke the $3,000 mark back in 2017. So sometimes these trends, and the reason I show you this is because these trends, this is kind of the exact thing we're seeing right now where we need to break out of that pattern, and it might take a couple of months. So when we go back to today, let's go back to today on the chart, and we saw a high, and so the last high before this high was back at in May. Okay, we saw a new high at the end of June, and so when could we break this high? Well, possibly the end of August, guys. We're only not even in the middle of August technically, but we could realistically see, this until, well, the middle of August or the end of August roughly is around here before we start seeing some upward momentum. So guys, this is par for the course, and I'm not saying it's going to happen exactly 2 months to the day, but this correction is nothing to be worried about. It is bringing altcoins down with it, which I know is kind of frustrating because if you have your money in alts, you are seeing your XRP plummet, right? Or your ADA, or your TRX, or your EOS. Okay, everything is plummeting right now, guys, in terms of the altcoin space. But we got good news here. The case for Bitcoin at 100,000. And this is from crypto analyst Nicholas Mertens, who is responding to an article in Forbes that makes the case for Bitcoin's rise to 100,000 per BTC. So Mertens says his target for Bitcoin's next cycle is 60,000 to 100,000. He expects global economic woes to play a major role as institutions continue to roll out new ways for investors to enter the market. So this is a quote from Merton. In this next cycle, you've got a lot of things to look forward to, and that's mainly the macro environment that's shaping up for Bitcoin. Remember, guys, macro trends, the macro environment, this is what we have to look at. We can't keep looking at things on the micro level. And we not only have new entry vehicles, we have the brokerage platforms like Fidelity opening up eventually to retail customers. You have things like Bakkt, you have Ledger X, you have GBTC that's buying a larger portion of the Bitcoin supply for more people to buy in their ETN, and you have a lot of entries even without the ETF. But the biggest thing is that there's going to be a huge demand versus the shortage in supply that we've seen in this case for cryptocurrency markets. We've already seen it over this past year. It's why Bitcoin has moved as drastically as it has, but the macro environment starts to become more clear. If equities start to pull back and if money starts moving out of the negative yielding bonds, across the world, a $15 trillion market of negative yielding bonds, and people start moving into hedges like gold, silver, and Bitcoin, I could easily see this kind of volume coming in. There is a stock market crisis, an economy that's on the fritz, a trade war with China. So this is also going to compound into Bitcoin going higher. I do believe that the target range for the next high is going to be somewhere between 60 and 100,000 per BTC. I know a $40,000 gap is going to be pretty wide, but I'm not going to try to make any solidified guesses 2 years out from when we might be setting the peak. So then Merton does talk about how he believes that Bitcoin will eventually rise above the $12,000 mark. He says, the thing it looks like to me is that this thing is going to push through. Where you have 3 or 4 days like this, where we've had price pushing up against the line of resistance rather than hitting a rejection and going down, it shows that the momentum is coming in, and it makes sense with the devaluation of China's currency and the exposure that Asian markets predominantly have in cryptocurrencies. So Bitcoin will push through. Let me put Bitcoin back on the daily here. Bitcoin will push through that $12,000 range, which is roughly here-ish. Okay, so the highs here. It will push through, eventually breaking 14, but then going up to 20 is the next big step. Maybe in quarter 4, pushing past 20. I think at 20, though, we will see quite a bit of resistance, and once we actually can get a confident push past 20, we'll see alts move up higher, namely XRP. And Ripple's SVP Asheesh Birla confirms MoneyGram's XVia integration, and so there was an AMA on Twitter, I believe, where fans in the community were able to ask Asheesh Birla some questions, and so it was confirmed that MoneyGram is indeed using XVia integration. So ever since XVia was announced in quarter 2 2018, Ripple has been pushing its adoption under the banner of accessing emerging markets faster and more efficiently. Birla further answered that legacy systems, traditional financial bodies, will also make use of XVia to connect to the Ripple net, which makes use of both Xcurrent and XRapid to settle payments. He added, usually for originator/sender of payments, makes it easy and streamlined to get up and running. Well, at XRP, Helen reiterated Birla's response, saying this is basically how companies handling supplier invoicing through SAP products could use XRapid too. Birla accepted the analogy. He further stated, that's the idea. We do not have a formal relationship with SAP today, however. With XVia's success implementation with MoneyGram, Ripple's intended roadmap seems to maintain its expected course. So it is confirmed Asheesh Birla has indeed stated that MoneyGram is using XVia integration. We got David Schwartz here, and he's talking about potential forks on the XRP ledger. Guys, I don't touch on these articles too much. I do link everything in the description if you want to read further. Talking about the XRP ledger here, and including forks, so Schwartz cited an example of the XRP ledger where the base protocol does not allow anyone to implement a software change in the ledger unless 80% of the network signals support for the change. So he says forks are not inherently bad. Let's say some people on the network absolutely want a private transaction and some say, no, we have regulatory clients, we can't have private transactions. If they fork, it could be that the resulting two networks have more value separately. Interesting way to look at it. Schwartz also addressed queries about XRP being centralized and Ripple having a say in the decision making for XRP. He explained, Ripple has no formal authority despite having a significant portion of the system's economic value. Validators can technically run whatever software they want. If someone wanted to propose a change taking away 20 billion XRP from Ripple because they are worried it's in danger of becoming a security, there's no legal lever preventing them from doing so. So just some insight there on the XRP ledger and David Schwartz's opinions on the forking situation. Guys, again, I link all these articles in the description as I always do. They're for ease of use for you guys if you want to go back to look at anything further, to do your own research, so on and so forth. One thing I wanted to mention yesterday, I saw Kevin Cage made a comment on Twitter about the immature investors in this space. And guys, I've noticed the same thing. There are a lot of people here who are just spewing out hate because they just don't get it. You know, I get if you're frustrated. I get if you're young and you don't get it, because inexperience can lead to frustration. But, you know, there are people who decide to let out their frustration in a positive way. And then there are people who troll my page, other pages, Twitter, because they don't have money in their pocket today. They invested more than they could probably afford to lose, or rather to lock up for a long period of time. They can't pay their bills, and so they lash out in the comment section and on Twitter. So if you're young, or even if you're not young, and arrogant, usually you're going to come off as a bit of a tool when you post these kinds of comments because you haven't done your research, and ultimately you're being fueled by the emotional highs and lows of the crypto space. If you can't handle it, I get it. Maybe you shouldn't be investing in cryptocurrency at all. But to troll when the crypto market is down is such a newbie move. And so I can tell the noobs just from their attitude on Twitter, in the comments, and I believe Kevin Cage would agree with me on that. What you guys have to remember, and this from I Am Legion on Twitter, is that the ecosystem is building and we are seeing progress. So this was from an annual meeting report from the Fed, the IMF, and the World Bank. And if you guys look down here, it says the session number 1, what are the current vulnerabilities to global financial stability and what can we do to prevent another global financial crisis? The reforms that have been implemented since 2008-2009 global financial crisis have changed the financial system for the better. However, we are not immune from future financial crises. What are the current vulnerabilities to global financial stability, i.e. in the non-bank sector, the emergence of crypto assets, and what is being done to assess these threats and to mitigate them? What have been the effects of reforms aimed at ending too big to fail? These are the topics at hand in these large meetings between organizations like the World Bank, the IMF, and the Fed, guys. Cryptocurrencies are going to be a thing in the next decade. And if you invest now, and if you are 23 or 24 or 25, and you have patience, and you hodl into your 30s, you are definitely going to be a happy person. If you get shaken very easily, and you relinquish your cryptocurrencies because you've quote unquote had enough of this SHIT, then you will fail. Plain and simple. Anthony Pompliano mentions the same thing. Twitter test, name one successful entrepreneur or investor who spends their time spreading negativity or trolling others on this platform. Odds are you can't, so if you're doing that, it may make sense to go focus on some other endeavor. Smiley face. And then ACOS XRP1 puts a picture of Tony Vase here, which is funny because he is a bit of a hater and he is a millionaire because of crypto, but I think he's become the hater since he's become the millionaire. A little bit different, but kind of funny. Pissed off his barber guy. Most definitely. This one here from Bitcoin Macro at BTC_macro on Twitter. In trading, you are paid in direct proportion to how patient you are. This couldn't be more true, guys. If you do not have the patience, you will not succeed. Plain and simple. When the market goes up, I notice a lot less trolling on the page. As a matter of fact, when XRP hit, in the high 40s and 50 cents, I don't think there was any trolls in the comment section. Pretty funny, right? XRP goes back down sub 30, I'm seeing trolls galore. That's fine. You guys don't get it. You guys are running on emotion, which is a pure rookie move. And we also got Elijah Boom here on Twitter. Market is up, market is down. I don't give a damn. Am living the dream anyway, and I think this picture speaks for itself. So how long are you guys willing to wait to see your investment boom significantly? I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.